Hi, I'm Paul Sallach. Welcome to All In Aviation. Whether you're a Vegas local or in town for fun, All In Aviation is your source for Cirrus Aircraft rental and flight training. That means when you get here, you'll fly in style in our luxurious Cirrus aircraft, featuring air conditioning, leather interior, airbags, all-glass cockpit, and whole airframe parachute safety system. The Cirrus will get you and your passengers where you want to go safely, comfortably, and with time to spare. As a Platinum Cirrus Training Center, All In Aviation can link you up with one of our seasoned flight instructors for an unmatched training experience. Whether you're looking to take your first flight, get some recurrent instruction, complete advanced transition training, or go through emergency instrument or parachute deployment training in our full motion simulator. Maybe you want to hone your skills. Hop in the wraparound touchscreen simulator for a quick brush-up lesson. And if you think you've really seen all the sights, wait until you see them from the cockpit.
From our home here in Las Vegas, you're within an hour's flight of some of the most scenic locations in the United States.
Places like the Grand Canyon, Zion National Park, Sedona, and that's just a start.
It's just you, the airplane, and anywhere you want to go.
So check us out. We're just minutes off the Las Vegas Strip. Everything that we do is about getting you flying. It's time to go all in. For more information or to schedule a flight, visit allinaviation.com or call 702-ALL-IN-22. And remember that to us,
your destination is just the beginning.
We have Cirrus airplanes, which are the #1 selling airplane in the world. It's the only airplane that has a parachute on it as standard equipment. So if something really bad happens to the pilot, any of the passengers or anybody in the plane could just reach up, pull a handle, and then it'll float the plane back down to the ground. So it's a unique safety feature. But I like to think of it as I would never want to get in a car without an airbag. Just like I don't want to get in the plane without a parachute. But it's been used 109 times in real life. I think 240 people have been returned to their families as a result. So it's a testament to like the system and the engineers that designed it. Within Cirrus, they have 4 different models. The SR20 is what most training is done in. And that we have 4 of those here that you'll see today. And then the SR22 is a little bit more horsepower, so it goes faster. People normally take it to destinations. And then the Turbo is the one that people take to like go to high altitudes or into mountainous terrain or something like that. And then the Jet, the SF50 that you just asked about, is just it's a private jet. So it's pressurized, but it's a lot more expensive, but it's a lot more comfortable. It was on purpose designed to be the lowest, slowest, cheapest jet ever made. And that said, it's relative, right? So most jets have 2 engines and they're a lot bigger, so they're a lot more expensive as a result of that. But yeah, it's an inexpensive way to burn jet fuel. When we take a tour, you'll see that we have 26 hangars altogether. Most of those are used for tenants, basically, to store their own personal aircraft. And then you'll see that there's a maintenance shop that we're going to walk through here where people can maintain their airplanes. And then I sell airplanes. So I sometimes tell people, like, think of me like a marina, at the airport, where we can rent you a plane, we can teach you how to do it, we can store it, we can maintain it, but it's all evolving around an airplane. People walk in, they want the white glove treatment. We do our best to deliver on that. For our people that rent from us, we have a red carpet out for them and that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're renting a plane and going somewhere, probably for either business, personal, or just a training mission. So we want that to be an elevated experience. There's a lot of schools around town and around the country that will do it in an old, inexpensive airplane. We sort of take the opposite approach, where people can learn in the nicest and most technologically advanced airplanes that are out there. COVID was sort of a weird thing for us because people all of a sudden didn't want to pack into an airliner with 150 strangers. It's always been cheaper to travel commercially than it is to fly privately. But when COVID came around, people that had some discretionary income sort of gave themselves permission to spend a little bit more money and do it on their own terms and on their own schedule. It is more expensive, but people that want the ability to be on your own, to control your own destiny, to take your own passengers, to fly on your schedule, are really the ones that we tend to cater to. We're here in Vegas, and let's pretend that you want to get to Palm Springs is a great destination. So Palm Springs is like a 4.5-hour drive, okay? If you want to fly commercially, there's no nonstop flights to Palm Springs, okay? So you got to connect through Los Angeles, and to go from here to Los Angeles to Palm Springs ends up probably being about 3 hours. You jump in one of our airplanes and you're there in 50 minutes. So somebody that is in business, probably most likely, would say, you know what, it's 50 minutes for me to get down there. I can get to my 10 a.m. appointment, be there for lunch, and then be back here for a 2 o'clock appointment, versus killing an entire day, whether that be driving or flying commercially. And the challenge with commercial is then there's probably only 2 flights a day that you have to choose from, so you're constricted on what you can and can't do. I think every kid looks in the sky and sees birds fly or airplanes go overhead and just wonders what that is. There's it's the third dimension that we as humans don't normally get. Like when we go this way, right? We go left, right, yeah. But we normally don't get to go up and down. So it's visceral. Like you actually you feel it, you see it, you can, all your senses seem to be filled. It's a freedom that most people don't realize exists. To be able to get in a plane and just travel wherever you want and take whoever you want. Most people don't realize that that's so accessible. It's available really to anybody. You have to become a pilot, but anybody can become a pilot for the most part. There's a few medical things that maybe would prohibit it, but aside from that, it's available to anybody. I mean, flight schools have always been around. I think what a lot of people have in their mind with a flight school is getting in an old, beat-up airplane. Right, you see it in the movies, these old Cessna airplanes. What has changed, I think, is that there's now this Cirrus airplane that is modern, that has really sort of taken some of that stigma away. It's very much like getting in a luxury car nowadays. So I think that's really what's changed, is that people go, you know what, I want to try that because it looks cool. It doesn't look scary. To get your license, the minimum amount of hours that you need is 40 hours. The average is 75. And that's in the airplane actually flying the aircraft. Then there's 2 main tests. You have to do a written test, and then you have to do like a practical test with another human that sort of evaluates your abilities. It's kind of like being 16 years old again. Remember, you had to go and you had to do the written test to get your permit, and then eventually you had to do your driver's test. Same thing. It's probably one of the more stressful things that happens in people's lives, to be honest with you, because most people are not used to being evaluated by another human, and it's normally a 4-hour sort of evaluation. So it's a draining day, but the idea there is that the FAA wants to make sure that we're putting out safe and competent pilots. So actually about 39% of the people that buy Cirrus aircraft are not pilots. So that's a pretty sizable number, not the majority, but it's a pretty significant figure. And those people need instruction, obviously, from day one. And the thought there is that those people don't want to get into a rental plane where they don't know who's been maintaining it, who was the last one to fly it, what was it, in its history. I wear sort of two hats. I wear like the sales hat, where I sell pre-owned airplanes. Those customers come to me from all over the world, and then they take their plane and they go. I don't necessarily deliver them all over the world, but people can buy an airplane from anywhere. And then on the flight school side, this is Vegas, and people travel here from everywhere. And we offer these experiences where you can get, your discovery flight with us and an instructor. The FAA allows one sort of discovery flight for anybody, okay, to sort of take, to taste if you want to advance. And then if you're not a U.S. citizen, then the TSA requires that the foreign national would have to apply to do flight training in the United States through, there's a program that the TSA has. As you can imagine, this is after September 11th, where some foreigners came and did some training here. So now they want to make sure that before foreigners train here, that they do a pretty good background check. But provided you go through that background check, then you can train here and get your licenses here. There's a huge demand because the pilot shortages, we're right in the midst of it. People are required to retire at 65 years old. As a airline pilot. So a bunch of the baby boomers and their kids are retiring, and there's not a wave of people that are filling that void until just recently. Airlines have historically not paid very well to entry-level positions, so there wasn't a whole bunch of pilots that were going into this profession. But in the last 10 years, it's dramatically increased. The pay of a starting airline pilot has doubled and sometimes tripled. The majority of our training is private and instrument. And then if you want to be paid to fly, then you become a commercial pilot. And we do commercial pilot licenses. Those are the three that you need in order to be compensated. What most people will then do, if they want to make a profession out of it, is they'll become a flight instructor, because once you become a flight instructor, you can be paid for your flight hours in an airplane, and they count towards your hours that go towards your flight hours for an airline. So this is where I hang out on my family wall here. You'll get a kick out of this. So this is all the airports that I have personally landed at. So you can see the pins here. So I went to school up in North Dakota, and then I worked in Minnesota. So you can see all the airports in those two states. And then I went to the Northeast to be a demo pilot up there, and then in the Southeast. And now obviously living in Vegas, we kind of get the West Coast pins. So almost 1,000 airports that I've landed at. Sedona is probably one of the most beautiful airports in the world. So we go there often because it's about an hour flight from here. That's definitely on my short list of places to go. It's challenging if there's wind. If there's not wind, it's absolutely gorgeous. Then second to that, I kind of like going where there's water. So going down to like the Florida Keys, Marathon, that sort of thing. Very, very beautiful flying. This is just this is our conference room. This is a one-of-a-kind aircraft wing conference room table where we have meetings and stuff like that, but it allows you to see the inner workings of a wing. So you can see the spar and the ribs, and then over here you can see the fuel tanks. We do a ground school session where where people that are learning to be pilots, they need to have all the knowledge base. So we do basically 12 people in here over 3 days to consolidate and accelerate the training. This is the All-Sim ALSR 20. So for people that are learning how to fly, this is where my flight instructor would hang out. And then let me show you where you would come. So you'd come around here, and you can see we've got this wraparound visual so that when you're sitting in the cockpit here, when you look out the windows, it literally looks like you're flying an airplane. The cockpit doesn't move, so it's not a full motion, but it has everything else that your senses need to feel like you're flying. So one of my flight instructors would be here. They'd be manipulating, like, changing the weather, or they maybe would say, hey, your engine has died, and they would turn the engine off, or one of your instruments would fail, or you have an electrical problem. So they can tell the computer, go ahead and simulate that situation, and then you put the pilot through the training to deal with it. The idea of a simulator is that you're able to slow things down, to do it over and over, to have repetition, to have practice. I'll just show this to you. So Ken's not in today, but anybody that wants to purchase a brand new airplane, we have the regional sales director that's based here. So you can see it's Cirrus Aircraft, and this is where you kind of decide, you know, what color leather seats you want, what color paint do you want for your airplane, how do you want it customized. They have all the different options of how your plane can look. All airplanes require maintenance. This is our maintenance partner, Lone Mountain Aviation. They keep all of our planes flying. These are not all of our airplanes. They also do maintenance for any customer around the Southwest that wants to come here and have their planes maintained. But it is a Cirrus Service Center, a Cessna Service Center, a Piper Service Center, all the main single engine prop planes that are represented, they can maintain, and you can see you could probably eat off the floor here. I'll show you our pilot shop here. So this is our pilot shop. So anybody that's gonna start is probably gonna walk in the door and say hi to Pat. People that are becoming pilots will need all the pilot supplies. So we sell pilot supplies, and then we sell training supplies, things that you need to study in order to pass the exam. And then we have all of our All In Aviation swag here. So this is the flight school hallway. So I have my two directors that sort of oversee the operations, both from an operational standpoint and then from a business standpoint. So here's where sort of all the magic happens. I'll show you a briefing room. You can see both briefing rooms are occupied right now with customers. But what normally happens is a student or a customer is going to come in here. They're going to meet with one of our instructors. They're going to come in here and talk about what are we going to do today, where are we going to go, what are we focusing on, whiteboard it if we need to, pull up the Apple TV if we need to, and then once we've sort of come up with the game plan, then we go out to the airplane. So. So here we are at Henderson. If we wanted to say, all right, we're going to take off, we're going to go to the Hoover Dam today. So that we can look at airspace, you can see we got to stay below 5,000 here, stay below 6,000 here, stay below 4,500 here. So if we were to go on this line, we know this cuts this corner, we want to stay below 4,500. So we're going to be at 4,300 feet to go out that direction. Or let's just pretend that you're like working on weight and balance. We need to figure out if we're good on weight and balance. I don't have it in my phone right now. I normally use my iPad for that kind of stuff, but if we wanted to share like, hey, how are we calculating how much fuel we have? What is the weight to the passengers? And then we can sit here together and do it. We've got an All In Aviation slot machine here, so when you pass your check ride, you hit the Cirrus jackpot. I think one of them's All In Aviation here. So once a pilot has gone through and gotten their certification, we have them sign our wall. We opened this building 2 years ago, so these are all the people in the last 2 years that have accomplished some sort of pilot certificate. See, they put their name, their certification. So this guy got an IFR, private pilot, And then there's very few commercial like we talked about, but there's a few commercial that are on here. There's amazing opportunity because it's an underrepresented group. I don't know why, but the opportunities are pretty amazing because I'm not going to say you get priority, but you definitely get, like, you know, they're trying to balance things out a little bit. So if you're interested in an aviation career and you're female, then you know you've got nowhere to go but up. Let's go look at some planes. This is one of, I mentioned to you that we have 17 airplanes altogether. 14 of them are Cirrus Aircraft, and then the remaining are Cessna airplanes. So I'll show you both. What makes us different is that our planes are fairly new, and we try to keep them all clean and try to keep them very pristine. So when you show up for a lesson, our line staff will have the plane that you're going to fly pulled up to the front, and then you can do your pre-flight and all that in the comfort of a hangar. And then once you're ready to go, our line guys will pull you out, just like you saw that engine that was just starting there. They fire up there and they go away so that we don't have all the noise and stuff here. And then when they're done flying, they pull in, the line guy will receive them, have a cold bottle of water for them, and then take care of cleaning the plane, fueling it up, making it ready for the next person. So every 50 hours our airplanes are going in for service. We keep 4 of the hangars for our flight school operation. So you can see these 3 here, and then that one there, and then the rest of them are for third-party tenants. And then these hangars are what are called T hangars because they're in the shape of a T, as you can see. So you see how it's shaped from, if you were to look at it from the sky, it looks like a T. And then this door opens, and you can see on the other side, the front of the hangar's there, and this is the back of the hangar. So it's like a big Tetris game where one backs in here, one backs in here, one backs in here. So some people want a lower cost alternative to the Cirrus airplane. That's what we offer here with the Cessna airplanes. They're still very nice, as you're about to find out, but they don't have things like an autopilot. They don't have things like a parachute. They don't have things like air conditioning. But they're about half the cost in round figures. So some people want to learn how to fly in a plane like this. But it's not necessary at all. I mean, for Las Vegas, it's pretty miserable when it's 110 degrees. You can open the window so you can have airflow.